Here we go. Oh, um, hello. Are we good? Are we ready? Are we sorted? Why is the volume up so high? Is that better? I think so. Hello. Wait, what does chat say? No, that one. I'm not convinced that it's working. So, is this right? Is it working? Because I swear to God, YouTube. Hello. Nice name. Right. Okay, it is working. That is a good sign. Now for me to click on things and for it to not work. Which one was it? Properties, and then I don't know. It just like worked itself out in a bit. Hello. Nice, Stein. How are you? Yeah, all right. Been a bit mixed, I suppose, but yeah, all right. Yeah. Hello, Rohan. How you doing? Yeah. So the whole YouTube chat thing that normally appears over here, will appear eventually. But yeah, it takes a while. It takes a few minutes for it to remember where it should look. um, yeah. How's audio volume, by the way? I'm adjusting things because the slider looks pretty high. Yes, thank you very much. That is that like I don't know if you saw on Twitter, but I would not know about those if it weren't for you guys. So thank you very much. Second, it's really annoying that happens. For context, there is someone who has downloaded all 1,000 of my videos that are public, and has re-uploaded them to about 4 channels, about 100 or 200 at a time, and it's incredibly frustrating because they're not out for the views specifically. They're not monetized channels, right? How they monetize it is Amazon affiliate links, which is really just so yeah. But yeah, thank you very much to you for letting me know, because like I said, I wouldn't know otherwise, and it's very annoying. Milanezos, I'm sorry I said your name wrong. Yes, feel free, go for it. That's the whole point. Hello, Kev. Hello, Luca. And hello, Harry. I hope you're back from your getting your coffee. You want to buy the new headset? You want to buy a new headset and have a Corsair HS50. Cool. What do you recommend? So, how much are you looking to spend? Is probably the first question I would ask you. I'm gonna just change it to 50 hertz. Fixing so that the flickering stops. And then I'm going to change the white balance. It's going to look bad. Bear with. There we go. And I don't even care anymore. There you go. Oh, God, it's going to... Okay, there we go. Right, that's that. What do you recommend? Sony wireless Logitech G Pro or G9 433. Isn't the Logitech G Pro a mouse? Or am I getting that wrong? 50 hertz, yes, because Britain, and not USA. But the software auto resets to 60 hertz because America. So yeah. For console, not for PC. Yeah. So I don't know. I would say that the HS50 is probably pretty equivalent to stuff like the G433s. I don't know what Sony wireless you mean. And like I said, I thought the Logitech G Pro was a mouse, so obviously can't really help. I don't know off the top of my head what would be significantly better, really. Sony Gold Wireless, fair play. I'm afraid I don't think that I'm quite the right person to answer. I mean, if anyone in the comments or anyone in the chat wants to suggest anything, do feel free. But I'm not quite sure. I'm still waiting on YouTube chat to turn up, which is really annoying. I think it's because with the new YouTube, like the new way that I have to live stream, it doesn't pick up, like Streamlabs doesn't pick up what URL or what chat to draw from. So yeah, how's your Threadripper Hackintosh doing? It's doing the floor. It's good. The video that talks about the performance for that comes out, I think it's this week. Oh, Monday. It will be out on Monday. So yeah, check that out. It's kind of impressive actually. The comparison was the fun bit. I don't know if you were here last week, but basically the video that I'm doing is a comparison between Hackintosh or macOS on a 24-core Threadripper versus the same PC but running Windows, and then performance comparison between programs that have both macOS versions and Windows versions. And yeah, the performance differences in some cases were way in the favor of macOS, and some cases were way in the favor of Windows. So yeah, should be an interesting one. This is my first stream. Nice, fair play. Well then, there's your 24 core. Don't you mean 12 thread, 12 core, or 24? No, it's a 24 core Threadripper. It's 48 threads. It's the 2970WX. Any recommendations for someone getting into server hardware who wants to get an Intel server for basic video editing, maybe some gaming, but nothing intense? What makes you want to go server hardware, and what makes you want to go Intel server? Server hardware is often more a reliability thing, which is fair enough. Also a support longevity thing, but also it's a form factor. So if you say already have a rack or a place where you could put a rack, there is the argument to putting a gaming PC in a server there, but yeah, I'm a personal preference, I suppose. I run my server with a consumer Z77 board. It's what I had available. Fair play. I mean, if you've seen my budget NAS video, you know what my server is. Again, consumer hardware, so I can't exactly talk. Come on. Fair play. Server because I fancy setting up a home lab. Intel because what I've seen better to be cost-wise looking at Xeon E5 V2s. So used market then? Because that's the case, then fair play. Yeah, fair play. I run FreeNAS. Heard of it? Yes, I run it myself. I run FreeNAS under ESXi, or as a VM in ESXi, because I also run an Ubuntu server on the same machine, just splitting the 4-core Ryzen I have in there into I think like 1 core for FreeNAS, or might be 2, and 2 or 4 threads for Ubuntu, with the majority, or the 16 gigs of RAM split half and half, and what you call it, then the main storage configuration goes to FreeNAS, but the graphics card gets passed through to the Ubuntu server for acceleration and being able to display stuff. So yeah, fun times. Quick question: how much women have run from your nerdism? None, surprisingly. Also, this is more of a dream use case, but if it were possible to set up to a 2-seat system, Linus's 7 gamers 1 CPU thing, that'd be sweet, but not a hard requirement. So in that case, you need enough CPU cores and multiple graphics cards and enough RAM. So I would say a minimum of 8 cores, ideally like 16, and 2 graphics cards, and probably a minimum of 32 gig of RAM, realistically. And also multiple USB PCIe cards, so that you can pass through each card to the VM, because that makes it way easier than trying to pass through individual devices to VMs. It's just, that gets messy very quickly. So yeah. And also, like Lucas says, single core performance of the Xeons are a little bit limited, and so you might actually be better off doing that on consumer hardware, especially now that AMD is launching a 16-core desktop CPU, which is just insane. Or you could go Threadripper as well. Thank you, Michael. Hello, Starman. How you doing, man? I'm okay for once, sort of, give or take. Yeah, I'm doing alright. Have they sorted out the heating issues with the i7 A750H in the laptops? Well, they just came out with the 9750H, so no. So actually, I reviewed a HP laptop that video will be coming out relatively shortly, and that had actually a 9300H, I think, which is an i5. And what was really interesting about that is that even that was still at like 90 degrees Celsius with a good, like a decent cooler on it. I mean, for context, the same cooler was able to keep a GTX 1650 at like, what was it, 60 or 70 degrees Celsius under full gaming load. So yeah, no is the short answer. Just got out of hospital today, had a microdiscectomy. Fair play. Well, glad you're all right, and you're out of the hospital. I can confirm being in hospital sucks a lot. So glad you're out. Glad you're doing well, at least good enough to be watching the stream and commenting. So yeah, awesome. And hope all is well. I'm on a Ryzen 5 3600X, love it. Have macOS and a separate SSD on Windows right now though. Fair play. It's I was actually pretty surprised by how relatively easy it was to set up a Ryzen, Threadripper or not, Hackintosh. It was quite surprising, but definitely cool to see. Currently I have 16 gigs of 2400 MHz RAM in my Ryzen build. Would an upgrade to 16 gigs of 32 or 3600 would be worth the extra £100 of the performance, or is the performance gain nominal for the cost? So honestly, I would say it's probably not worth £100. It might be closer to being worth like 50, maybe. There is a reasonable performance difference to be had there, but for an extra £100, you could very easily, say, sell your graphics card and get a model or two up, and that's going to be significantly more performance, at least at the time being anyway. So, yes. No, Stein, you didn't quite. Hello, Ish. How you doing, man? How's things? I'm trying to work out why the chat still isn't turning up. Because normally I click on this box and then it freaks out and then it spams the chat back in. But it doesn't seem to be doing that, so yeah. There we go. Fixed it. Hey there, what GPU would go for an X58 system? I'm thinking of selling my 9600K 1070 Ti build because I don't use it so much. Fair play. What CPU is in your X58 system? Do you stream on Twitch? Yes. It's what do you call it? Dual streamed. So I'd be streaming. The thing that you're seeing on YouTube is the thing that you'd be seeing on Twitch, and I don't generally stream on Twitch otherwise because it's just not quite my thing. So yeah, yes and no. Just ordered a water block for my 2080 Gaming X Trio as the rest of my system is water cooled, and I wanted to do the card. Fair play, man. Nice. Let me know if you can get any extra like overclocks from it being water cooled. It'd be interesting to know. X5650. Fair play. So probably something mid-range. I'm thinking 1060, 2060 kind of thing. Is probably the right sort of shout. What resolution are you playing at? Fair play, Harry. What CPU have you got at the moment? I can't remember. Fair play, 1080p. Yeah, so something like a 1060 or a 2060, even 1660 Ti kind of thing would be a pretty good shout. So yeah. Oh dear. Oh dear. I switched to Threadripper when Ryzen 2 came out. Nice. Is that first gen Threadripper, second gen? I can't remember either. I mean, that's not quite the sort of thing that I can discuss on tech stream. But I'm Scottish, you can probably work it out. Do you think B450 motherboards will support Zen 3? No is the short answer, because AMD said when they created the AM4 platform that it would be supported until 2020 or PCIe, what was it, DDR5, right? So we're coming up on 2020, and my understanding is that the next generation, so 4th generation Ryzen, will be supported on the AM4 platform, and so therefore B450 boards should get BIOS updates just like B350 boards did for 3rd gen to 4th gen. And so in theory, yes, that should work. 5th gen Ryzen, which should be Zen 3 architecture as opposed to Zen 2 Plus, that 4th gen will be. No, I doubt it will. I think there will be a new, I'm guessing, AM5 or maybe AM4 Plus if they're going back to their old naming schemes for that generation and onwards. We will have to see. They may delay that a little bit, but at this point, I'm not too sure. So we'll have to see, but I don't think so. I'm thinking going on price performance, RX 570, 580 and spend as little as I can for the money I'll get from my 1151 system. I mean, yeah, that's a good shout. A 580 is a fantastic option. I would... Oh, wait. Give me 1 second just to check. Okay, I can't talk about it yet. Don't buy a graphics card until next Monday. Just hold on a little bit. Yeah. I'm upset that Threadripper has its own socket. I was just hoping to slot a Threadripper CPU into my B450 board. Lol. Sadly, not quite. But yeah, it's it makes sense to me what has its own socket. If you, in fact, I don't have a spare chip downstairs. They're upstairs, but they're chunky. Is probably the best definition. And I suppose the nice thing is that an EPYC CPU and a Threadripper CPU actually fit in the same slots. Obviously, they don't necessarily work in the same motherboards necessarily, but they're the same socket, the TR4 socket, whereas with Intel you have LGA, 3647 for enterprise Xeons, basically, except for some Xeon Ws, I think, which are still on the X299 platform. Oh, Intel launched new CPUs or announced new CPUs. Ooh, I'm going to find the article on that real quick, because it was interesting. Did you guys see the new CPU specs? Because, yeah, very interesting. That one. So this great naming scheme, the 1090 XE, it's still an 18 core, slightly higher boost clocks, the same TDP, although TDP is a useless measurement right now because neither Intel nor AMD agree on how it should be measured, and therefore it's pointless to compare. But for half the price. That's cool. What's interesting though is that the 12 core option, which supposedly boosts to 4.8 gigahertz, although the all core is only 4.3, but that kind of matches Ryzen, but then you can't compare Ryzen to Intel architectures directly. But anyway, it's interesting to see that one is $689, recommended price, which is how much is a 3900X right now? It's like £400, so $400, 400 something. Anyway, that's a good bit more for what I assume is pretty similar performance. So Intel is still trying to claim a leadership position on the X299 platform. Okay, fair play. Each to their own, I guess. So to answer the question of any hypervisor recommendations for two-seat system, what about if I went down the consumer AMD Threadripper route you mentioned? So I'll answer your hypervisor question first. I use ESXi. It's not what I would necessarily recommend you use, because it's complicated. And look at your half right there. You can get a free license for it. All you do is you sign up on their website, you download the ISO, and it gives you a product key. So you don't need to reset the trial. They give you a free license key. It doesn't cost you anything. It just has limited features. You know, you can't use it in what was it, the vSphere. You know, you can't use it as an office installation, but you can use it for home use. It is a bit of a grey area because technically speaking, they could just disable that key and just call it a day, and you'd be kind of screwed. But there is also, what is it? KVM? No, that's Linux. What's it called? I think Citrix owns it now. The free one is actually dual socket, I found out, which was interesting. It's only two, but it still. I'd be cool with KVM. I'm a Linux guy. Fair play. The one that I was specifically thinking of, because KVM is if I remember rightly, what was it, level 2 hyper. I can never remember which way around it is. It's like VirtualBox or whatever. It runs on top of a standard operating system, whereas a proper hypervisor like ESXi, Unraid, all that kind of thing are, I think, level 1. I get which one's mixed up. Apologies. But yeah, they're a little bit better if you're trying to go for like that sort of dual seat system. You would get a lot more out of your hardware, basically. So yeah, there's a free and open source proper hypervisor that I would recommend you go to, and I've forgotten the name of it. If I remember, I'll let you know. Or feel free to message me on Discord and I'll find it later on. But I'm pretty sure Citrix owns it now. So find out what products they have and you'll find it. Yeah. No, not Proxmox. Nah, slipped my mind. But yeah, so that's that. You canny day that. Where in Scotland are you? Well, I'm from Glasgow area. Won't go too specific, but sadly do not live. Zen, that's the one. ZenServe. I can't believe I forgot that. But yeah, so that should be a better super long-term option, as far as I'm aware. And obviously free and open source is always great. But yeah, that's what I was going for anyway. Also, to answer some more questions, do you think the new Surface laptops will throttle like MacBooks? I mean, they look pretty similar, the form factor, closed chassis. And also, someone else, you were mentioning the MS Surface Duo phone and the Surface Neo tablet, or whichever way around it is. So yeah, the new Surface stuff actually looks pretty cool. I'm not someone who uses a tablet anyway. I mean, I literally have a computer in my desk. Not really my thing. So it's not, for me, but they do look really cool. And of course, the fact that they have Ryzen options now is also pretty great. And hypothetically, that should probably not throttle. It disabled your PC. I did. Yeah. So the throttling probably. What CPU? What Intel CPUs do they have in the new Surface laptops and stuff, and the tablet ones? And while I'm waiting to hear from that, the new phones look pretty both interesting and weird. I'm not someone who understands folding phones right now. No, I've not had one. I've not tested one. I've not, even touched one or seen one in person. But unless you really care about productivity, right now I can't understand why you would want one beyond the I guess sheer coolness factor. So that's my personal thought there. I think the Surface option is probably the more reasonable way to go about it, because it's basically just a convertible laptop like we've been seeing for the last 5 years, but instead of a keyboard, it's a screen, right? So same thing. Yeah, they're pretty cool. I like them. I'll be interested to see what the price is, and it'd be interesting to see what how they actually perform and work. I have a question, if you can help me out, please. Sure, go for it. Gavin, yes, you can. The world used to run on multiple graphics cards. It's not really there's no real point to doing it anymore unless you need more display outputs, or you have a very specific application for a second graphics card in terms of hardware accelerating stuff, which I'm guessing your friend doesn't have. So yes, you can. I have PCs in this house with multiple graphics cards in them, but no, it doesn't make much sense right now. Hello, Troll Ninja. How you doing? My PC screen goes black randomly sometimes for a few seconds. So do you have multiple displays? Have you tried updating graphics drivers, and does the display itself turn off, or is it just the signal to the display that turns off? Do you remember the days of the 3-way SLI? 3-way? There was 4-way SLI! What? I know, right? He has 2 monitors and wants to have his game on one and Twitch on the other. Graphics cards can output up to currently 4 displays normally. So he can just plug in another monitor to that, the same graphics card. He doesn't need a second one. Do heavy games affect the hard disk, or should I install it on SSD? So by heavy, I'm guessing you mean space? No, loading time. Can you define what you mean by heavy, and then what you mean by effect? Yeah. And Troll Ninja, display turns off. So then that's likely a problem with the display itself. You can generally check that by swapping what cable you're using. So if you're using DisplayPort right now, then try swapping over to HDMI and see if it still happens. If it does, then you'll know that it's either a problem with your display itself, the cable, or your system. If it still does it, then you know that it's just a problem with the display or the system. But if the whole display itself is turning off, that's generally a sign that the display has a problem. That can often be the power supply in the display, or whatever power supply feeds the display, not being either powerful enough or kind of on its way out. So yeah, it will depend on what's up. I recently changed the motherboard. Can it be the case? It should be fine. I would try reinstalling your graphics drivers just in case, but if the whole display turns off, and only for a few seconds, that's normally a power supply issue. I would know a display of mine caught fire right after doing that. And then I had to take it apart and resolder some new stuff in, so yes. Opinions on the Nintendo Switch and the modding community around it. So I don't have one. I also don't really know about the modding community around it. What do people mod with a Nintendo Switch? But yeah, so I don't have one. I do kind of like if I was ever gonna buy a console, like with my own money, that would probably be what I would buy. But oh, like software modding, right? Got you. I was thinking hardware modding. Like, there's not really much to take apart there or like add on. I don't know. But yeah, fair play. Fair play. Yeah, I that would probably be the one that I would get. I do really like the look of them. I'm not. I think I'm just not quite invested enough in any of the franchises that are on it. Like Pokemon was my childhood, definitely, but I didn't have a Wii. I didn't have. I had a Nintendo 64, but I never really played anything like Mario on it. Occasionally, I played Mario Kart, but that was about it. And so I don't really have strong ties to Zelda or to like Smash Bros or anything like that. So it's not a great pull for me right now. But maybe if I don't know, stole one for a bit from a friend and played around with it, I might be convinced. I know this isn't a tech question, but how old are you? 22, I think. I keep having to ask people, like, how old am I again? I think that, am I 20? Am I 20? Am I like 25 yet? Because that could mean stuff. But no, I think I'm 22. Maybe. Da 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 da. So yeah, that tells you how old I am, roughly. Android and Switch builds out there. XDA did a video on it recently. Interesting. Well, that's pretty cool. Is that I'm guessing that's like not an unreversible switch, but it's not something you can't like immediately dual boot from Android to the whatever Switch operating system actually is. Ew. Exactly. Don't want none of that identity theft, yo. You can actually boost from microSD. Oh, well, that's very interesting. About 5 minutes ish. TG, games like GTA 5, Apex Legends, in terms of size, I mean, by continuously reading and writing on the hard drive, does it affect the life of the hard drive or any data loss in the long terms? So, no, not really. Games don't really write to hard drives when in operation all that much. It's only really reading. And it's no much more intensive than, say, watching films off of it, or I don't know, whatever else you may do. You don't tend to have much data loss on hard drives, at least from my experience. My experience so far, I've had hard drives fail, but the general failure mode is it just starts throwing errors, and then you frantically copy everything off it while it sets itself to read-only mode, and then you never touch the drive again. I've never had immediate data loss on a drive, whereas in theory SSDs are more likely for that to happen, but yeah. Anyway, long story short, no, it doesn't ruin your hard drive. It doesn't destroy it at all. The benefit of putting it on an SSD is more in the loading times side of things. With the only, I suppose, downside is that putting them on an SSD, SSDs are more prone to accelerated wear with how much more full they are. And how many times they've been written to, but generally speaking, no, it does. Playing games off your hard drives or whatever, or SSDs doesn't immediately destroy them or have significant long-term impacts. Yeah. The Switch is hackable because of a boot ROM exploit in its Tegra X1 CPU. Nice. That's fair. But Switch units made after July 2018 have been able to have patch fixed that. Well, that's a shame because that sounded like fun. And fair play. What do you think of Microsoft's new Surfaces? We have touched on that slightly. They look pretty cool, especially with the new photo ones. They look pretty interesting. I'd be very interested to try them out. But yeah. Tro Ninja is a 3 degrees Celsius GPU temp okay while gaming. While playing my GPU fans run fast for a few seconds, then go down. Generally, yes. It That's generally where you expect graphics cards to sit at. They because of the boosting behavior, they generally just ramp up their boost clocks and therefore voltage as much as they can until they hit that temperature target, and then they rein themselves back, and then find a sort of happy medium. You can change that, so you could download something like MSI Afterburner and change those settings, or depending on what what graphics card you have, stuff like EVGA Precision, or if you have an AMD graphics card, then even in AMD's driver, you can actually do that with their Wattman settings. So yeah, you can change that. You can make them run a bit longer, so that it keeps a bit cooler. You can make them run less, and it will just boost a bit less. So, yeah, lots of options available. But yes, that's fine. Um, Next one. Where's my? There you go. Even small SSDs should take a whole game per month in writes over 5 years of lifetime, maybe even one per week with TLC. Yeah, pretty much. The write endurance of drives has gotten a lot better, to the point where it really doesn't warrant worrying about, which is kind of impressive, considering what was it, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? Actually, it might have even been longer than that. Back in the like early, when OCZ was still a company, kind of days, and you had drives that were like, it was a genuine concern that just installing Windows could be damaging enough to break it, which was a fun you know point in time. So yeah, QLC are not going to be great, but they have more over provisioning and larger capacities for wear leveling. True. Has it come this far that you're clipping your nails during the stream? No, I'm cleaning my water bottle. The tip is really nasty, and I just happen to be using side cutters to do it. Hello, Lee. How you doing? What do you use the computer on the desk behind you for? So, I mean, it's not currently a computer. It's a case with a CPU cooler lying on top. That is my testing rig. So that's what I put motherboards in. That's what I put graphics cards in. That's what I put motherboards with CPUs on them in. Even CPU coolers to a point. So yeah. I can't remember what the last CPU that was actually in that was. I think actually it was the MSI X570 motherboard, of which that video will be out whenever I find it, next Friday. With a triangle to help you contact Area 51 last month. What? Yeah, no, that's it's unreleased hardware. I shouldn't be showing it to you. Let me move the chair. Did you try doing an extended test on the Gen 4 copper SSD you got there? See if it stops working around 75 degrees Celsius. I did. So it does still adhere to the same smart thing, where when it gets to 75 degrees Celsius, it will throttle heavily. The problem is that, especially with that massive copper heatsink, I tried reading and writing. I think what was it? The GTA 5 game files, which are like 90 gig now, to and from it on repeat, maybe 20 times in like back to back. So reading and writing, stressing everything as much as I could, and it still didn't get anywhere near. It still didn't throttle. It performed exactly the same. So both yes and no. It will also depend on what you're doing. The nice thing about that copper heatsink is that it is actually technically double-sided, and conductivity, like copper's conductivity, thermal conductivity is good enough that it should be fine to keep both sides cool. Hello, Chris, how you doing? But you can also use stuff like your motherboard's built-in one, which in some cases, like the motherboards, the X517 motherboards I've been reviewing, a lot of them are now using the chipset heatsink, which now needs a lot more cooling anyway, as the M.2 heatsinks as well, and it's one massive piece, and so that would have, in theory, even more heat soak capacity, plus a fan cooling part of it. So yeah, my expectation is you would need to write for a very long time to thermally throttle that drive. Any suggestions for data deduplication in that two-seat system I asked about? So that's probably where my knowledge of virtual machines, server hardware, server software, and I am probably about as noobish to that whole world as you may be. Beyond maybe I've already set a multi VM machine up, but point is, I can't give you a recommendation there because I don't know. I would love to know if anyone does know a good answer for that, but yeah, don't deduplicate unless you really need to. Compression is the way to go. Fair play. I suppose he's asking because if you say have the same games that both machines would be playing, you don't necessarily want to have both two separate copies, potentially even on the same drive. But yeah, fair play. But in any case, the Samsung 970 EVO is faster than the current Gen 4 SSDs. Yeah, I mean, it depends what queue depth you're at. If you're at what is essentially the benchmarking queue depth, yes, definitely. But the 970 EVO is not the fastest drive, like the fastest. What do you call it? NVMe drive. 4K read write is faster on 970. Yes, I mean, ostensibly it's the same NAND flash, it's just a different controller. So on basically that's not too surprising for me. But yeah, it's not like there are not faster standard or Gen 3 drives available. But yeah, it depends what you're doing. Because QDepth 1, yes, pretty much the same, but QDepth like 32, like all of the benchmarks tend to show. Obviously, there's a difference. I would just use Windows Server multi-seat, but it's EOL now. Fair play, fair play. I mean, my experience with Windows Server software and hardware has been pretty lackluster, I would say. But yeah, that's me. A real man runs servers on a Unix operating system. Probably. Yeah. Yeah, Lee. We're talking about different hypervisors, and we're talking about Unraid. Thank you for reminding me. Zen or XenServe. I use ESXi, and there's other options as well. Lol, lol, indeed. I was playing with a 240Hz monitor yesterday, which was fun. It's one from Acer. It's one of the fastest panels I have reviewed. I think it's 3 milliseconds black to white, which means that it would be 1 millisecond gray to gray, I think. So yeah, really, really impressive. What's next for PCs with Microsoft going ARM now? I don't know. I mean, is it a full version of Windows or is it the stripped version of Windows? I can't remember. Windows as a client / general use, passable as a server, death sentence. Oh, yeah, that's probably fair. I've been saying that I use ESXi to run both a FreeNAS and an Ubuntu server on the same machine. So you're preaching to the choir there. I'd probably go with Zen or KVM, but I hear Btrfs and XFS have dedupe features. That's quite possible. Yeah. Has GPU acceleration too or something? Which one are you talking about? Oh, with the ARM Microsoft full version. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool to see. I'll be interested to see if they allow that version of Windows to be used on any other devices. Because I don't see why they wouldn't, but it'd be interesting. Fair play. What was I going to say? Are you going to upgrade your TV to an HDR BFG display? No. I think my TV is like 40 inches or like 32. It's not big. I do wish it was bigger, to be honest. But yeah, no, I don't play games on my TV, and I don't think I would. God damn it! I've invited the chat. Urban. That's probably not what I should say. Is fair play your favorite phrase? Yes, it is. It's my catch-all phrase right after Urban, please let me say which components you would recommend for a €2,500 computer. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you. My estimation would be, I assume you're asking for gaming, but yeah, it would be probably something around Ryzen 3700X 2080, maybe 2080 Ti, depending on how much you want to spend there. 16 or 32 gigs of 34, 3600 megahertz RAM. What else? Yeah, 1 or 2 terabyte NVMe SSD, 2 to 6 terabyte hard drive, depending on what you want. And then a good, gold or platinum 750 watt power supply, something like that. A 240 mil water cooler, probably. I'd probably do that, really. Yeah, and whatever case you want. That would be my rough guess. The first ARM Windows laptop was the one with the Snapdragon CPU from Lenovo. Possibly. I can't remember. I know there has been an ARM version of Windows 10 for a while now, because people were running on the Raspberry Pi, but obviously that's pretty limited hardware. And was pretty slow, if I remember rightly. Hello, Sam. How you doing? You seem to have missed some of the fluff on your chin. No, I don't like the stash. I like the chin beard, but I don't like the stash. It's just not for me. I don't have a TV in my lounge. Interesting. Is that because you spend all your time in your man cave, or is that because you just don't watch TV there, or is it a monitor and it's a trick question? Thoughts on Neuralink? I'd have to know what that is, so probably not gonna give you a good. All the time in the man cave. Fair play. That's pretty understandable. I generally spend my time in my man cave. I use a 49-inch LG Smart TV as my center computer display, surrounded by 24-inch regular displays. Interesting. That's a cool setup. Elon Musk brain computer. Oh, it is that. I thought it was. I don't know. I mean, that is the logical next step. So, yeah. If it happens, cool. OLED RTX 2060 and Ryzen 5 3600 equals question mark? Equals good, actually. It's a really good combination. Lee, my file server is an Asus Crosshair X99 motherboard. It might be Rampage, but first gen Xeon W3680 6 core and 16 gigs of RAM and 4 8 terabyte hard drives. Nice. Sounds like a good NAS or file server. Same thing. Yeah, I know, right? It's funny how that works out. Yeah. Okay, Luca, fair play. Said it again. And nice one, Sam. Which one did you go for? Oh, fair play. That's a pretty good display. I mean, it's that I have the PQU literally portrait mode right here. So yeah, nice. Will the stream remain viewable after it ends? Yes, I tend to leave it up for a couple of days. So yes, the stream archive will be live on the channel about an hour after we end in a few minutes here. But yeah. Andrew really needs to get a skin fade. No, he really doesn't. Chose it over the Element Gaming one because the VESA mountain is central. Okay, fair play. I mean, no, that makes sense actually. Yeah, depends what type of arm you have, but yeah, the arm that I have here wouldn't support anything other than central VESA mounts. If you were doing a level display, which I'm not because I have a portrait 24-inch, a 27-inch, and then a 21-inch. Can you please do a review on the HyperX Cloud Orbit? If I get my hands on one, definitely. I feel like that'd be a good kind of rounding to the budget gaming headset stuff. Wait, is the Cloud Orbit the cheap one or the expensive one? No, the cheap one's the Core, right? The Orbit's the expensive one. Either way, it'd be cool to look at, yeah. Oh dear. Portrait for watching snaps and grams on the of the cool people. No, it's just really good for stuff like Discord, where you don't necessarily need width, you just need length. Don't take that out of context either, chat. God damn it. Cloud Orbit is the expensive one. Right, gotcha. Yes, I would love to. If I get my hands on one, definitely will. Right, well, I should disappear. God damn it. Yeah, plenty of videos this week. What have I got? Some cheap wireless in-ear headphones that are actually pretty decent. Threadripper Hackintosh on Monday, and then what CPU to buy for gaming, if you're interested, on Wednesday. And yeah, should be stream next week. So yeah. so long, and thanks to all the fish. No worries. Which is your best gaming headset? For me personally, it's the Audio Technica ATH G1WLs. Really like them. Did a review of them recently. Check that out. No worries, Harry. Is there something you want to say, or you good? Oh, you were trying to type. Right, got it. Okay, I'll catch you guys next week, and obviously videos in between. And sorry, Neil. Unlucky. It happens a lot, don't worry. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next week. See ya.